This is Between Hooksets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the Fishing Crew.
What is going on, buddy?
Hello, how do you do?
And I'm pretty good, but I think tonight we don't really need a hook set for the type of fishing we're talking.
Well, boy, I don't know. I think you need a big rod and reel, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So,
man, I tell you what, the guests that we've got tonight, I struggled trying to fit their names into everything, because could we have had two guests together with longer names?
Yeah, that's true.
No. Okay, here's you're laughing now. Here's me trying to get ready to put stuff on Facebook. Like, it's not happening. You know, I had to shrink everything down. That, by the way, that the guest card there, that's a 2 font. Bold, extra bold. I'm not kidding you.
So tonight, I mean, we're going to go a little different here. We've talked walleyes, we've talked bass, we've talked duck hunting. I think this is going to be a first, talking a little salmon fishing, a little West Coast meets Midwest. Very interesting, unique story. Talked to Pat earlier today, got a little inside, and this is going to be fun. The salmon are absolutely going nuts here on Lake Oahe right now. I'm talking to guys that are getting, a couple, 1, 2 a day, to guys getting 10, 11 a day.
Feels a little early.
Yeah,
right?
It's been going all summer. I mean, it's been kind of a good year, and
water.
We got kings here, and they're biting.
Yeah, that's cool. So before we bring on the guests, I just want to pop this up while we say their names. Pat Kalmerton, we all know Pat, but Jarod Higginbotham is joining us as well. And these two are cards, so tonight's going to be an interesting night. I'm very much looking forward to some laughter, and I might even just have to sit back and listen.
I think we might have to bring Jarod in first.
Good idea.
We'll bring Jarod in first and give him a little shot at Pat before Pat gets on the screen.
He'll do it to himself. I just let him know he does it. Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Mama's in the background. He's in trouble. We didn't do it.
I thought you guys were going to be over here talking crap about me, and then you brought me in. Mama's she's still cleaning. She has to. She's dealing with me here.
Yeah.
Well, and before we started, I asked if Pat was going to wear a hat, and he's like, "No, I'm just going to go up here where you can't see me."
Well, I wanted to be like Jarod, I mean, all weekend long he was, he was kind of a little up in the clouds. We could see his shoulders. We didn't see his head at all, but
yeah, dude, I was wet from the neck down, but my head was dry. Top of my head sunburned.
I didn't know he was so tall.
Every now and then I'd feel something bump me in the knees, and I'd hear, "There he goes! There he goes!"
Oh, there he goes! Oh, man! I'll tell you what. You were talking about 10, 11 fish on Hawaii. I want to come out there and do that, but there's not a chance I'm leaving 40, 50, 60 bites a trip over here on Lake Michigan. It was insane.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was fun.
So you guys competed in the Coho Derby, first ever Coho Derby on Lake Michigan.
No, it was the 56th annual, I believe. What?
I thought he did something different than this year, right? I mean, something was new for this year.
No, so going back, a little history on the Coho Derby is it used to be down at D-Land Park, where it was almost like a family activity, right? So in the past, you'd have bands and beer tents and fish tanks, and all the fishermen would come down there after they were done fishing. They would drink beer and tell their stories and have a good time. And over the years, the salmon fishing kind of started, I don't want to say depleting, but it was one of them where it was tough, right? So going into the 90s to the 2000s, the fish stocking was down a little bit, but, it was just, the fishing wasn't as good as it is now. Okay. We didn't have the technology. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have any of that. So the town also, we started getting overrun by a lot of different picnics, and every little town had Silver Dollar days, or they had the corn boils, or they had the softball tournaments, and they lost track of the fishing part of it, and then they tried going to the bands, and fishing kind of got shoved to the side a little bit, right? So then they had the bands, and you started getting some of the downtown people down there, and fights started breaking out. And the fishing community is a very close knit, right? So, it's a brother band, sister band type of thing, and everybody watches everybody's kids while we talk. Well, when you start getting into these big picnics without any purpose, and the only purpose there is to drink beer, you start having some problems, right? So the cops start showing up, the town start coming down through, all that other good stuff. And so the town said, all right, enough with that. We're not going to have Coho Derby. Their organizers got sick of the headache, got sick of bringing security in, all that other stuff. So the wharf down on the boardwalk took over the Coho Derby. And Jeff and Grace did a fantastic job for many years keeping this thing alive. And they just didn't have the capabilities to have the big scale that it is, or that, the way that it used to be. Okay. So they would have a band, and they'd have a parking lot between their establishment and other establishment. And just, it wasn't that the Derby wasn't there, because they did everything in their power to make it go. And, there were people that didn't want to spend the money to come out and compete, right? So you'd save, or you'd spend $20, $30 in overtime for the ticket, $40, $50 for the ticket, and the super would be at like $100. Well, you could have 30 boats at $100, and none of the bigger boats wanted to get in. Or Jared certainly drove over from Washington with his boat, because the purse just wasn't there to cover the gas. The purse wasn't there for me to cancel my trips on charters, or for, one of my clients to book my boat, go fishing for 3 days and a chance to win $1,000. He ain't covering his costs, right? And the purpose of a tournament is to win money. A tournament is to win. I'm going to put my mouth put my money where my mouth is. I'm better than you type of thing. That's the mentality of a tournament person. We are very competitive. We like to compete, and we're going to come after you, smoking everything that we got, and we're coming. Here we go, So Jeff and Grace did that for a long time, and they did fantastic. And the town kept saying, I'm not going to spend the money to get into the super. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And then came along Joel and Parker. Joel, one of the directors or organizers. They have a bunch of people, but Joel, I know probably the best, JJ. And the reason I know him is because he was one of my tournament winning teams back in 2012. Matter of fact, I could show you right here. I don't know what my phone is, but that's Coho Derby, Sheboygan, Wisconsin, August 11th, 12th, 2012. That's the championship. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
All right. So that there, JJ is right in the middle next to Terry. Okay. So he is the one on the right, and he had a vision of, I want this thing to be big. Because when we won that tournament, I'm not going to lie, we went over to the Japanese steakhouse and we drank the winnings. One night, gone.
Pat, I've been out with you. Pat,
so you won $1,400.
Pat, I've been out with you, and we can do that at a big winning tournament.
Yeah, that's about what we won. So we won. We won the tournament. We had the big king. We had a lot of different things, and exactly what you said, Jared. $1,400. We went and drank it away that one night. Well, over time, it's hard to get into a tournament like that if you're not going to win money. But going back forever down at D-Land Park down there, I mean, Jared, you were witness to it, coming back to where they took that thing from a parking lot and a few people standing around drinking beer to 5 or 6 great big bouncy houses at the bank, the community bank. They donated a bunch of money, and it was free to kids. So it was an atmosphere, great big bouncy houses, and they had rock bands and polka bands. Fun. And they had beer tents and food trailers and fish tanks, and it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome cool to be back at it. So no, it wasn't the first one. They came back. 10 minutes into it, I answered your question.
Pat,
There you go.
It took 9 minutes for you to answer that question, buddy. I love you to death, but good Lord, Patrick.
Well, I wanted to tell him the history of why I convinced a 5 foot nothing times 2 to come over here and decide to pull his boat all the way across country to fish with me. So I had to have a storyline for everybody to realize on when you start babbling about what you did and why you came.
So
I
Jared,
like how you say babble.
so Jared, you came from Washington
Yeah.
all the way over to Sheboygan to fish this derby, and the best partner you could find was Pat.
Oh yeah,
right.
well,
Yeah.
I looked on Craigslist ads and I thought, hey, what would I look like if I was 5'6", bearded, a little rounder, louder voice,
More
and
handsome.
Pat
More
popped
handsome.
up with just a big smile and just there was a logo in the top left that just kept saying, "There he goes, there he goes," and so I was like, "That's my man right there. That's the guy I want to fish with." No, actually, Patty and I have been friends for a long time, man. And from the time we met, we were like stepbrothers. We're like, we're gonna be best friends. And he's like, "Yeah, you want to go do karate in the garage?" I'm like, "Let's go." And since then, we've been where we're at, man.
I Kung Fu Panda'd him, man. I tell you what. I got a step ladder and kicked him right in the shin.
Yeah, kicked me right in the shin. He was staring at my chest, yelling at my chest, and I was just upset. He spit all over my new shirt. I was pissed.
So Jared, you got a little story. You come from
Yeah.
Washington. Pat kind of told me a little bit of the story. We'll get into that later. But what's the background on Jared, and why did you come from Washington? What was the ambition other than to go hang out with Pat?
Well, so I work for Yakima Bait Company. And I'm the national sales manager, kind of product designer. I do social media, quality control at the factory, give seminars, do all the TV, radio stuff all across the country. And so part of my job is getting, is that Midwest region. That's one reason Pat and I became so close, because it's a focused market for me. And so I know my stuff works out there. All the salmon out there came from my hatcheries here, right? And actually, like August 1st is our biggest salmon opening of the year, right? The Buoy 10 Salmon Fisher, which is the Columbia River meets the Pacific Ocean, and millions of salmon come up it. And I've been going since 1985. It's my favorite place on earth to go. And I missed it this year to drive out there for this derby. And it was just like, I would talk to my guys and my buddies, and, the way we fish out here is completely different out there. Like, I don't ever fish a spoon. I don't fish a flasher fly. I don't fish a J plug. I don't fish any of that stuff, right? I don't fish riggers. I don't fish lead. I don't fish copper. I don't fish wire. I don't fish planer boards. I don't fish none of that, right? And so I'm like, I've been out there a couple times and done it my way, and we whacked them. And I'm like, man, I know it works. And they're like, no, it doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, well, I got to get out there and figure it out. And what better time than tournament time, with Pat and my buddy Dennis Isbister, who has a TV show called Wild Fish, Wild Places, and my son, Hunter, and then the cameraman, Cyrus Corbett was his name. But and Pat's family is like my family. And so it was just one of those cool adventures. It was kind of a work trip that was paid for. And I got to go promote stuff and hang out with a couple of my family members to have fun, drink Fireball, catch fish, hoot, holler, play music, fly over drones, dive off docks, shove each other in the bushes, spray each other with water hoses, dump water. It's fun, right? And why would I want to go do that, And obviously our goal was to win, but that's kind of my background and what I do. And so that's why I went out there, and I've got a 33-foot sled, twin motors on it, and it's an open boat, 6 seats in it. And we towed that thing out there. We towed all the way to Wisconsin. We never went to bed. We just shot straight through. Wow. And yeah, I like adventure. I don't like sleep. Sleep's for sissies. And we just rolled it, man. Full frickin' send all the way to Wisconsin, and we crushed it. So fun. Yeah.
Big brown, right?
Yeah, my son's
Massive brown trout.
First brown trout my son ever caught, 18.67 pounds or whatever, and happened to be the big fish. So he won $750 for it too.
That's pretty
came
cool.
on a new cut plug.
Yeah, it came on a brand new cut plug lure that we did. My friend Shane Magnuson and I have been working on. Shane's been working on it for like 8 years, and I don't know if you can see it. I got one right here. But
okay.
Yeah, so this looks like a cut plug herring, right? Well, the cool part is it pulls apart in the middle, so you can stuff it with bait. You can see I stuffed it with tuna fish just to show you what it would look like. So you stuff it with bait, and when it rolls, it looks like it's just like a cut plug herring or like a meat rig. It can mimic a spoon or whatever, but it also has a little scent ports on it so that the scent can leach out of it, right? So as it's trailing, it's leaving a scent trail, and it's replicating a wounded bait fish. And these things out here in the West, we just dominate and just kill stuff. I mean, it's one of the most effective techniques I've seen for salmon in my 35, 40 years of doing this, right? And so I wanted to get it out there and blow it up. And And, if you're going to blow up anything and you want it to be big and loud and crazy, you grab Pat Kalmerton, throw some whiskey in him, wind him up and let him go. Right.
So that's what I saw when I tried to get a screenshot of this big brown. There you had the flasher and then you had that thing, and I'm like, okay, I wonder what that thing is. I'm not much of a salmon fisherman. I know the flasher part of it, but so that comes after the flasher. How far up above the bait then?
Yeah, and so after the flasher, it varies. With certain presentation, you run different leader lengths depending on how lazy or how active you want the bait to be. The shorter your leader length, the more active your bait's going to be because it's so close behind the dodger or flasher, right? The longer your leader length, the more lazy it's going to be because it's further back. And so there are leader lengths. I think they varied from 18 inches all the way out to 4 feet, depending on what we were doing. And we just slowly over days, we ran 330 miles in the boat on Lake Michigan in 5 days. Right, at 45 to 55 miles an hour, going across 4-foot waves, like whatever, right? And we were trying to find these spots of fish and figure this out. Over that time, Pat was doing his thing, I was doing mine, my son, everybody. We put together these combinations, a certain color flasher with a certain color lure at a certain distance from the flasher was key, right? And we just slowly fine-tuned this and picked this lock until our program, we had so much confidence in it that we never left the area that we fished, and we just kept grinding because we were so confident and we knew and we understood our program so well that we were going to be there. You know what I mean? The fish were there for us to win. We knew that, and we lost a couple of them that would have probably put us there, but that's the deal.
So we're not going to say anybody else lost any fish. So we definitely did better than them as far as finding big fish and stuff. But somebody, Dan Nett actually told us where to go. It was kind of nice. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Next time I'm in Wisconsin, we'll put you on the bar tab.
So my question, Jared, Lake Oahe, we have king salmon. They're nothing like you guys are used to, but this year's outstanding. But it's downriggers, it's wire, it's copper. So how are you fishing these things in Washington and coming to Lake Oahe for guys that are listening for your tackle Yakima baits? What do you bring to that downrigger wire copper market?
Well, our spinning fish is one lure that you can fish in place of a spoon anywhere. Wherever you fish a spoon, you can fish a spin fish, or a flasher fly, you can fish a spin fish, or a J plug, you can fish a spin fish, or a cut plug, right? Because all you're doing is just replicating a wounded bait fish, or a maglet. Our maglet is outstanding, right?
We were using maglets once in a while too. Sorry to break you up, but
no, you're good, brother. You're good. And a salmon is a salmon, right? I don't care where they're at. They're saying just like a walleye is a walleye, right? The techniques and tactics may change a little. We kind of morphed my technique out here and mixed it with Pat's technique. And it was bulletproof when we were done, right? When I go back, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm way ahead of what I was. And so all these things can be put in place of all the things you guys are doing because we never ran a spoon or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? And so I think it's just, everybody's been educated so long on how to do stuff, and it's so effective. In Lake Michigan, if you're a charter captain, you really don't have to change a lot because you got 21 rods that you can fish, and you can fish all these presentations, and your spread is gigantic. See, out here in Washington, we can only fish 1 rod per person. We can kill 1 fish per day. That's it. And so we have to be super effective and super pinpoint to be able to do that. And it's not easy. And so where you're at, man, if I went out there, I would take my exact same stuff that I fish out here, and I would do the same thing I did in Lake Michigan. I would take it out there. And what we do is we run 10.5-foot rods rated, 15 to 40, 2 to 8 ounces of lead, but you can hang 20 off of them. And we'll run line counter reels, 65-pound braid. And then down to our braid, we have a weight slider. Then it comes to a bead chain. And that weight slider, we clip on anything from an 8 to a 24-ounce ball, depending on current and depth we want to achieve. And then we have what's called a bumper section, and that's the distance between where the weight ball is and our flasher, right? And what that distance does, that distance between the weight ball and the flasher, the shorter that distance, the faster the flasher moves. The longer the distance, the bigger the circle makes, and the slower it moves. And so depending on your water temp and where you're fishing will depend on your bumper length. And then, the whatever bait you have behind that, a spin fish or a cut plug or whatever, will dictate the action, behind that. The length of the leader will dictate that action. And it's a system that you put together, like fine tuning a motor. And I would take that out there. That's exactly what I would do. And then if they didn't bite it, kind of like they did in Michigan or in Lake Michigan, I would adapt. And that's what Pat helped me do. He brought in planer boards to the same system, right? So we started kicking stuff out on boards. And then we started getting more bites. And then, he's like, we should lengthen this distance between our bumper, between our weight and our slider, because we were still using 12-ounce leads on the boards and 20-ounce leads on the boards. And once we lengthened that distance to like 7 or 8 feet between the weight and the board, it was pure magic. Like, we just started crushing stuff. And so that's where I would go if I went to your fishery, right? I would start with a Northwest style mixed tactic, because everybody there is doing the same thing. So those fish get the same looks all day, every day, right? But if you're doing something completely different, those fish that are getting those same looks, you're giving them something different. Plus, you're adding scent to it. Plus, you're adding the bait factor out there. So you've got something nobody else has, right? It just gives you an edge that nobody else has. It's not like we were better fishermen than everybody else out there, right? We just had a better program.
Yeah. So, it's downrigger central here, having fish hawks or probes in the water. I mean, that is a big thing. Like, a buddy of mine's been out just absolutely crushing the salmon. They're like, we have to have 54-degree water temp. A lot of our smelt are chasing lake herring and smelt. That's our salmon are chasing smelt and lake herring. And that's, and we have gizzard shad, but that's not the forage. It's too shallow water. But 54-degree water. And I mean, Lake Oahe, in a full pool is 200 foot deep. Yeah. So we're chasing these things a lot deeper. Maybe, it's 50 foot over 80 or something like that. And so this style of tactic, I've fished salmon 2 times in my entire life. So I can't really talk like I know anything, but it's a flasher and a squid, or a flasher and a cut bait, or a J plug, or, or even a fly, and so to change this up and go a different tactic at, like you said, these fish see it.
Yeah.
And so it'd be really interesting to see, anybody listening tonight to look up Yakima baits and try these different things, because that plug is completely, that cut plug is going to be a completely different plug than our fish see here.
Yeah. And the program is it's really good. And you can go to our Yakima Bait YouTube channel, right? There's a ton of know-how videos. I mean, I've done like probably 100 to 150 know-how videos on how to do this, exactly how to rig it, and it shows it the whole video, where you can get the stuff, the whole deal, right? And how deep is like your average target depth in Oahe? How deep is it?
A lot, the couple times I've been out, it's 50 over 80, like a lot of the time.
That's cake. Yeah.
And it all depends, spring of the year, they're going to be a lot shallower. Fall of the year, they're going to be a lot shallower, but it depends. Like I said, the one guy told me 54-degree water temp, and the guys that are doing well have fish hawks or probes down to know exactly where that water temp is to get to that.
Yeah, see, and I never even looked. I look at surface temp. I don't have a fish hawk or probe or nothing on the boat, right? And so I never even look, man. I just let the fish tell me where they're at. You know what I mean? Like this is where I like in my seminars, I say, trust your electronics, right? Because I don't care what water temperature is, really. I mean, if the fish are in 40 to 60 feet of water, that's where you should be fishing. You know what I mean? If you're marking them in 90 to 120, that's where you should be fishing, because that's where they're at. And
so you're dealing with 2D sonar, down imaging mostly, or are you relying on the live scope too?
I don't even use the live scope, man. I don't care. I've never had it. It don't bother me.
You really don't. Yeah. In that instance, it's just not necessary.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I don't, I don't want more stuff on my boat. The only thing I want more of on my boat is more cowbell. I want more speakers, so the music gets friggin' louder, because it seemed like the louder we played the music, the more fish we caught, huh, Pat?
It was a good time.
It's probably all Pat's dance moves in front of the boat. I saw him.
Oh, he crushes it.
I was killing it, brother.
You killed it.
The moves.
When can we come out?
Anytime you want. Let's do it.
You should all fly out to Washington and come fish with me.
Okay. I want to go to the Columbia and catch walleyes, though.
Oh, dude.
I've got my big walleye reel, casting reel.
Oh, perfect. Yep, that'll get you,
at
least 600 yards from shore, which is key to Washington walleye.
Yep, there you go. Okay, so I've got the equipment. I just need to get out there.
Yeah, so for sure.
We'll get us there.
Pat, you told us earlier, when I talked to you earlier today, you said it was this tournament was kind of everything for you. A mental struggle, a physical struggle. It didn't start out good. Let's hear about that story.
Oh man, I'm telling you what, I've fished a lot of tournaments in my life, and this was on my home water, right? This was a body of water that I've guided for 25, 30 years. constant, anywhere from 250 to 350 trips a year. And right, easy peasy, right? I've won tournaments out there and everything else. When we came up with this wild idea of, okay, let's do this. And all right, fair enough. So I called Jarod and I talked to him. He's like, yeah, let me talk to Dan. And he calls back. He goes, I'm in. And at that time, I knew the minute he said we're in.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Here we go. At that point, because anybody that knows that when you put two big, dumb, loud animals together, it's hard to accomplish anything, right? But yet, when you take the passion that we both have, and then you add Dennis in, and Dennis has true fire as far as knowledge and just we're a different breed. Let's put it that way. We're a different breed. We're getting up at 3 a.m. We run hard and we go to bed whenever we can go to bed and get some sleep. But here's the thing. And so I got on an old trusty Airbnb. There's a beer tent down there. Oh man, there's going to be a beer tent. We are going to be walking distance from the beer tent all weekend long. We ain't gonna get caught driving. We ain't doing nothing. We're not waiting in line for there might be 400 or 500 boats out there during the Coho Derby, and we have a shotgun start, so we can't start until 5 a.m. Right? So we fish from 5 to 1 on the shotgun start. I'll get into the tournament a little bit later, but just the organizational, we had to get a boat slip to be able to have our boat on the water, so we didn't have to mess around waiting in line, because if you miss that shotgun start, right, your first half hour of the day is going to be most crucial. That's where they're gonna hit it while you're setting, and it happened to us. And we had a house within walking distance, and there's an ice cream shop right across the street that we may or may not have went to, with big old greasy burgers at the.
Hey, was there any White Castle along the way, Pat?
So it's funny because you and I sat in a couple of lobbies eating White Castle, and Jarod and I have gone through the drive-thrus of McDonald's at 2 a.m. But this place, it was amazing. That thing, they put 3/4 chunk of butter on there. You take a bite, it squirts out, and just rolls down your chin. Yeah, it's so juicy. Oh my gosh. Well, anywho, when we got there, we walked into the house, and Dennis looks at Jarod. He looks at me, says, no way in hell. Not happening. Nope. Find me a hotel. So here, Jarod.
This house had 4 rooms about as big as these 4 screens on my phone.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was in jail. Hot box. Down Texas.
And not only that, they have 1 bathroom for 5 guys, grown men. I'm by far the littlest guy.
Yeah, 1 bathroom. Have you ever been 6'10", 350 pounds and try to sit down on a beer can? I'm just asking the question. Anybody out there chime in, because that's about the extent of that. Go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
But Jarod doesn't know, and I had a GoPro filming the first time that he tried to sit on that damn thing.
Yeah, you know those geese that land, the big geese when they land, and they they can't get back up, so you're just going to shoot them. I was the big goose land, and they couldn't get my ass back up.
Oh God! He actually called me in to help. I love it. He called me in there to help him back up. And I just let him sit there for a while until his legs started falling asleep. I had to help him.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we called every hotel in the area, and nobody had a room. Not one person. No. There was not a hotel room, a rental house, anything to be found anywhere.
Yeah.
So we brought in some trusty old cots and 3 big barn fans, and we went to Walmart and found the biggest fans that we could find to blow some air around, because the air conditioner. So they had one of them out the window air conditioners with the hose about that big, and the window. Oh, there we go. The window is that wide, and the hose is that big. So everything from here to there was wide open, so the heat would just come right back in. And we were upstairs, and there was no shoes allowed, so we had to leave all our shoes down the stairs.
And there was a cosmic funk from hell down there, bro. We would open that door in the morning, and it was like smelling salts. It was like, yeah!
It would knock you out. It was, I mean, it was
bro.
just like
Not
gut
good.
punch right in the face and wham. So anywho, nobody slept that night because it was too damn hot and everybody was so burnt and there was no wind. So going back to the challenges of why it was my hardest, most mentally, physically draining. It was like glass out there. The sun was just beating down on you. The fishing, when we started, we were doing West Coast style, right? Mm-hmm. So we walk into the wharf their very first day, and we were the joke of the town, and everybody was giggling at us to the point where they said, "You have more chairs." Bro, you got more chairs and you got plastic rod holders on that boat. What are you going to do with that thing? And it was an ongoing joke of, all right, we can only run 9 lines. We have 9 rod holders, and everybody thought it was a joke. And when we went out there to start, we did it ocean style, right? Because it's elbow to asshole out there. So it's one of them where it's both rod tip to rod tip, right? And there is no room for planer boards.
No.
So what they do is they go straight down. Well, our water clarity is so clear. I think we caught 4 fish about that big first day.
They were little.
First day, practice day or tournament day?
Practice day.
Practice day.
And I'm going, now what? You know, because it's one thing to be a boat or a charter boat or a person that gets in the tournament, but anybody that knows me, I was talking shit before I left, before I even went out there.
Not
I mean, I was starting to get this party started, right? And we were making videos of here the boys are in town walking through Walmart and picking up all the groceries, and we're, you know, cooking on the boat, and we weren't catching a damn thing.
But
we were not catching a damn thing. We sat out there for there were 7 of us when Jared and Tyler jumped on the boat with us.
Yeah,
we had 7 people on the boat. And we ran for 5 hours, and I think we caught 1 fish that big. One fish, and we're going. What do we do? You know, and offshore. You know, Nick and Bruce. Obviously, I run a lot of Magnum offshore boards, the SST Pros, and I said, Jared, we tried your program, man. Let's air them out a little bit. I think it's the water clarity, you know, and we aired them out. And the minute we aired them out, and the minute we lengthened that lead just a little bit, I mean, it was just like, and somebody flipped a switch. But the thing is, it wasn't the fishing that was bad, because when we were struggling, when we were out there, the charter boats were coming in with their 30 fish, 6-person limits. They were beating us bad. You know, so it's like, oh my Lord, what do we do? So now it's so hot, it's so humid, and the biting flies. Jared, do you still have
flies?
Oh, you have battle wounds. You should have seen Baby Huey here laying on the damn bed.
Pat, after the show, I'll let you in on a little secret for the biting flies. I have the sauce.
Oh, God, bro. Please. I tried Fireball. That doesn't work. I tried Jägermeister. That doesn't work.
I was doing a weigh-in for a fishing tournament, and they were biting so bad. I used to carry Tempo in my tournament trailer, spray all that. I had barn spray and everything, and I was on the verge of drinking Tempo until the guy walked up and handed me this bottle of stuff. And it is heaven.
Oh, God, dude. I'm telling you.
But you forgot what it is, didn't you?
Oh, Jack? I know what it is. I just can't let the secret out.
Yeah. Well, how much is this going to... You should have seen Baby Huey laying on the damn bed crying because his legs were swollen. He had freaking landmines all the way from his knees to his skis that he walks around on. I mean, there were freaking...
Pat, you call that a bed... I would call that a maxi pad. That thing wasn't big enough. My feet hanging over the edge, my arms hanging over the edge, my ass was all the way down through the bars. I felt like someone was going to pour concrete on me. That's what I felt. Like I'd been rebarred.
Wait a minute. To be fair, have you ever seen the size of yourself?
Only in photos, bro. It looks normal to me.
No,
I mean, there you
because
go.
the rest of us are on freaking stools.
Yeah. You look at your
Yeah,
face
I was
like
going to say
Steve
Kalmerton's on his tiptoes there.
Yeah, that's my
No,
son. That's my son Hunter beside him.
And
Pat's
Dennis
getting out
was
of
it, right?
school. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's my son Hunter. He's 6.
He's how old?
He's 6. No, he's 18. He's 18.
You had me for a second there. Like, no way, I got to take a second look. So the team that won it, is this the team that won it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and those guys there, if you go back, I mean, it's one of them where you have charter captain. You have the middle fellows. They travel all over the place for Salmon Cup, and they go over to, they travel a lot doing the salmon fishing. And Russell, he's part of the Salmon Candy, and he does a lot of the. He was with English Avenue down there for a long time, and I mean they're really, really good fishermen. You can't take anything away from them. Hey, can you page through there? Can you find a picture of Rippin' Lips? Go find Mark Ziegler with his 2 kids. I got a shout out to him.
That was awesome. I see those 2 kids every day. They were awesome, man. That was awesome.
Yep. So they go to the Coho Derby website and they have it on there. But Marky Ziegler, his boat's name is Rippin' Lips, and that fella right there, he's an inspiration to every one of us dads that, a lot of us will pick our crews and get into these big tournaments. And that man there, he has fished every single tournament, every single day that he can go fishing with his kids. And he's doing it right, man. So Mark, if you're listening, if you see this, kudos to you, brother. Yep. Yeah, that's awesome.
So then
Pat,
you figured
I
out
had my kid there too, right?
Yeah. Well, good job.
Give me a shout out at all. Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
I mean, you know what?
Thanks,
at the beginning of the week, I really, really was actually proud of you. And then after that, I figured out that he rips on me just as much as you do. So at that point, piss on him.
Yeah. Little fella got in a few good shots.
If you go to my reel there at some point, you'll see that Baby Huey was talking about his kid sitting on the thing. And I quote, "I'll be pissed if a damn sea lion comes up and eats my kid," or whatever he said. I mean, we were like Michigan. It was
Lake Michigan sea lions, huh?
That were going on,
bro. That's a real deal where we're at, though. You got a 1,000-pound Stellar sea lion, bro. You don't sit there and hold the salmon in the water and revive it, dude. You shotgun that thing down there, because we've had them come up and snatch the nets out of our boats when we're netting a salmon or trying to get one. It's crazy. Yeah, I was kidding when I was there, because if a sea lion because we were just having one of those mornings, like we had about a 2-hour span there where we didn't get bit or nothing. And I'm like, this is the time where a sea lion's just going to come up and take my kid out the boat.
You didn't have any snakes in the boat, did you?
Snakes? No.
Kalmerton, look out.
You don't like
the
snakes,
flare
Pat?
guns would have been firing. I do not like snakes.
Oh, man, we used to go catch rattlesnakes all the time, buddy. Also, when you come out here, we'll take you to do it.
No, you won't.
Yeah, come on, little buddy.
I've heard the stories about rattlesnakes. My buddy Willie went out with some guys that caught them, and he goes, they gave me these long tweezers in a 5-gallon bucket, and I catch one in this tall grass, put it in the 5-gallon bucket, then I realized I got to walk back through this tall grass with a bucket that's rattling to beat hell. Yeah. I'm done.
Not happening. Not a chance.
Yeah, we'll make you a nice belt, Pat. You look real slick with a rattlesnake belt.
You got some boots too, so I could do some heel clicking.
Oh yeah, dude. You get out there and do country swing. You can do it, buddy.
So you go out there and you struggle through adversity, and then it comes derby time.
Yeah.
And the sauce was put together.
Yeah. We were dialed, man. I mean, we were dialed. And we were so dialed. Like in the morning, we'd be sitting there and we'd be waiting for the start to start. And we'd be playing Thunderstruck on the radio as loud as it would go. Just and then we'd stop. We'd play the Star Spangled Banner as loud as it would go. And then we'd put on like some Ted Nugent Stranglehold. And when they dropped that thing, man, I would hammer that boat and I would peg it and trim it out. And we'd roll 50 miles an hour through pitch black for 25 miles. And we would start dumping fish, dude. It was freaking awesome.
So you end up catching the biggest brown of the tournament.
Yep.
What you guys all? What was all your awards?
So we got third place in the pro division overall. And then we got the second biggest king. We had the first for a long time, and some guy beat my son by like 0.4 ounces. And then we had the biggest brown trout as well, at 18.67 pounds, I think. So.
But yeah, we were number one in everybody's heart.
Yeah, we were number one in everyone's heart. When we left there, we were kissing babies and signing people's backs. It was great. It was great. We were throwing Tootsie Rolls to people as we left out the boat. It was like a parade.
I mean, we would have been like a real rock star band if we actually showed up for one beer down there. And here's the problem. JJ, he's like, so wait a minute, time out. You guys told us, and I went and got all this extra beer because you guys were going to hang out and walk to your house and stuff. We were so mentally and physically drained after getting ready for this thing and fishing it that there was nothing that we were doing. It was, we would go back. And of course, maintenance, right? You have to do maintenance. And the biggest thing that I was impressed with these guys is they're just like I, right? So in between at night, we'd go down there. Hey, Hunter!
Oh, there's Hunter. Come here, buddy. Hey! There's the little fella right there.
Hey, buddy, you miss me?
That's my 6-year-old that was looking at Pat's head.
Hey, wait a minute. Hunter, come on in here, man. Tell us about the tournament.
Sit down for a second.
What's going on, brother, man?
What's up? How are you?
Good. Hey, tell us about your tournament, bro.
My tournament, you were with me. It was definitely interesting.
I want to hear about your fish from you. Come on, they're your fish.
Which fish? Oh, that one, the lake trout. The brown trout.
First brown ever.
It was my first brown trout ever. I mean, honestly, I didn't think they'd fight that hard at all, but they fought way harder than I expected. I mean, especially it's a bigger brown trout than normal. It's just what I've gathered from everybody else telling me it's a giant.
Well, it did win the tournament on it.
Yeah, it did win. Yeah, it did win the tournament. Yeah, that's true.
probably by about 5 or 6 pounds, actually.
Yeah, it was.
So, Hunter, tell us about your time with your dad and Pat in the boat. I mean, like, this had to be like educational beyond educational. Did you get the talk from dad on the way over? What you see here doesn't go back home to mom.
Oh, I mean, yeah, obviously, but I can barely handle my dad when he's in the boat. But Pat is just like my dad, so it's just like another one of him. So I was just like, it was a lot, but it was really fun. And Pat is actually a really good guy. My dad talks about him a lot. So
there's many times where he was kind of curled up in the fetal position over eating Wisco meat. I mean, he's just over there gnawing on jerky. You know, we're like, hey, Hunter, get us beer or something. He's like, get yourself.
No. So you're asking a 6-year-old to get you a beer.
Well, yeah. I wasn't driving the boat, and I wasn't the captain of the boat, so heck yeah, I was.
Hey, he could. Why not?
Did you see the dance moves I had going on? That doesn't come from soda pops.
You had a lot of good dance moves going.
You ever hang out with?
Is it weird to have a grown man look up to you all day long?
I mean, a little bit for me, yeah, but I think it's normal for Pat.
Well, I do look up to a lot of people. That's all right. I'm the last one to get rained on.
So the other question I have for you is the reason you caught the big fish is because Pat couldn't see over the gunnel of the boat, or?
Yeah, I just picked him up and moved him out of the way. He couldn't grab the rod, so.
I couldn't reach you with my alligator. Right?
I just went right over him and grabbed it.
You know what worked out really well with these little arms is wait. I couldn't reach the bill either. Or any meal or any drink all week. It was just
yeah, I'll get that.
Yeah.
Wow. Hunter, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Love the story.
Get out of here. Nobody likes you.
Congrats on the big fish too, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
A big deal. Fabulous. Well,
so
that was a good time.
Going back to it, tournament day, you know, with a couple of the adjustments that Jarod was talking about earlier, as we started off with the 11-inch flashers and real short leads on the spin fish and the cut fish. I think we started about 26 inches.
Yeah. So like on my normal program, it's generally the best lead length for me out here is about 30 to 31 and a half inches, right? And that's kind of what I started with there, right? Because I can control the speed of the lure, like I was telling you earlier, like with the bumper length and the leader length, it depends on how that dictates the kick of the bait in the back, right? And so I can usually determine that by the speed I go, whether I'm running 1.7 if I want kind of a slower kick, or if I run up to 2.5 if I want it to pump faster. And so that's where we started, and it was close, right? Like everything that I was doing was really close. Like it was the exact system. We just put a few other parts in it. You know what I mean? So
you guys said you started out at the beginning of the week as a laughing stock, and then people had to literally bite their tongue at the end of the week when the West Coast style met Midwest style and got it done.
Yeah, and it was cool because my biggest deal with fishing my whole life has been learning, right? Like that's what keeps me going. It's like, I don't even care if I land a fish. For me, it's the whole mental thing of figuring it out to watch other people have fun. I mean, that's my deal. And so that's why I want to share with it. And, by the time we figured it out, I was so happy, right? Like I was like, this is awesome because, I've had friends out there that, they're really good fishermen. The Romanaks are a couple of them. And, in shallow, my system, like 50 feet or less, dirtier water, I mean, it kills it. We were in Portage, Indiana earlier this year, and I filmed a show with the Romanaks, and the Cohos moved down there, at that time of year. And we went 62 for 80 one day by noon fishing my program. 11-inch flashers, lead balls, the whole thing, right? Like, I mean, it's insane bite. And they did that. They duplicated that in other places, but in less than 50 feet. And so they were telling me that in that deeper water, it didn't work. And I'm like, man, I fish it in the ocean up to 200 feet. I fish it in the Columbia 80 feet, 90 feet. I'm like, it worked. It's got to work, right? And they were 100% right. And so was Pat, because I did it with Pat and his brother Jarod last year out at the mouth of the Sheboygan River. We went out there and murdered them one afternoon doing the 11-inch paddles, the 32-inch leaders, the 12-ounce, 16-ounce leads, just like I do. And they were telling me it didn't work in the deeper water. And I was like, I was basically almost calling them a liar, right? Because I'm like, it works here. But they were right. And so that's the cool part, too, is because that's a job thing for me, right? And so figuring that out, now I can relay this message to everybody else, what we figured out. And so it wasn't just a tournament thing for me. It was a work thing, like figuring this out so I can help people change the way they fish. Because, a lot of people do love pulling spoons and doing this and doing that. But even myself, I like doing different techniques for the same fish. It's like walleye. There's a reason you jig for them. There's a reason you pull cranks. There's a reason you pull worm harnesses, right? And, it's timing of year, but sometimes that's just what you want to do. That's just how you want to catch them. And so that's what's fun about having different presentations is, yes, this is effective. But on certain days, this other one would be more effective. And on certain days, it's just fun to do something different. And so that was what I really got out of it, was the bonding and the fun and the camaraderie with everybody there. And Joel, that dude's a badass, right? Like, he's one of us. The emails that were going back and forth between me and him and Pat, before I ever met the dude, I was like, I like this guy too. He's going to be like the third in the wolf pack, like on the Hangover, but not your wolf pack, but the wolf pack from the Hangover, right? We were bringing him into the wolf pack. And so Joel he's a great dude, and he really kicked ass in this event, right? Like, to bring this thing from nothing to what it was. I mean, 750 people standing around, drinking beers, talking, having a good time, everybody vibing, right? Some music going on, the big fish display, the barbecue thing, and lots of very clean honey bucket toilets. Joel, well done on that, buddy. That's one of the first time I've been to one of those events and didn't have to wrap a bandana around my face before I walked in. So well done.
Hey, good old honey buckets. I might know the guy buying honey buckets.
There you go. So yeah, it was a great event. It was a fun deal. It was a learning work experience for me. And I traveled to sports shows in like Michigan, and I go film everywhere, like in New York and all over the place with Romanaks and my friends and Pat. And so now I have a message to relay. I go to dealers and I sell product to retailers. And part of being a retailer is getting new product in to show your customers, right? Something to be excited about, a new way to catch fish, and so now I go to these shows to sell product to these people, and I have this education, and I can help them sell their, 8-inch paddle flashers. I can help them sell, lead balls. I can help them sell leaders. I can help them sell my baits. I can help them sell other things that go in with my system. And so it's cool. Pat, did you just scoot back so you look smaller?
No, I wanted
so
the
cute.
halo over me.
You want the
like
halo?
a baby Jesus.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lord Pat has arrived.
He wants to look like a baby Jesus because he can't ever grow up to be a full-size Jesus.
All righty then. You look very handsome, Pat.
So do we plan on making this trip next year?
I'm a man of my word. And I told Joel, like, I said, hey, bro, if I place third or higher.
That's what you are.
if I place third or higher, I'll come back, right? On the day we got there. Because after we got there, the 33-hour drive, right? The first thing we did was we went to the local bar there, Parker John's. That place is awesome, by the way. And we got us a bunch of food, and I had a bunch of Maker's Mark and a bunch of Fireball and a bunch of Jägermeister and a bunch of beers. And so by the time I met Joel and face-to-face, and he came and sat down with us, I was ready, like as Pat said, I was running my mouth. And so I ran my mouth right where I put my foot in it. I'm going to put my foot back on the fuel gas for 1,920 miles east. And
well, I got a good idea. Next year on your way out or your way back, you stop on Lake Oahe and let's see what we can do here.
Dude, so when does that fishery start?
I mean, it's hopping right. I mean, it's been going this year. It seems like it started, in June, mid-July, and it's kind of been going the whole time. My neighbor was getting them in April up shallow, this time of year, like that August time of year is a great time for salmon on most years, and the fish look healthy. Obviously we're getting all our fish from probably your hatcheries. They don't reproduce in our lake. So it's all, stocked fish, and we've got a ton of fish in the system.
So how far is that from Devil's Lake?
A long ways. 5 hours, 23 minutes south.
Oh, dude, that's solid. Pat, next year when we go to Devil's Lake for Susie's thing in the summer in July, dude, I'll just drag the boat. We'll keep going.
All right. There you go.
Pretty much straight.
Way to be excited, Pat.
You didn't sound very committed.
All right.
You made me feel like I was at prom and I was headed home for the last kiss right there. All right.
Uh-huh. All right.
Come on, Pat. Yeah, dude, you're on a 15 out of 10 every day of the week. I'm like, hey, let's do 2 fisheries. You're like, all right.
That was pretty good.
Like, bro, I want some more excitement out of you. Like, fire. So what do you think about doing it, Pat? Hey! Órale, vato! Yes! All right. Yes! We are going to do it. Yes!
I like it.
So yeah, dude, we'll have to plan that out, man. I can work out that schedule because that'd be something really cool to do. And like I said, I'll bring my sled out there, do the same thing. It was fun. So I would love to do that.
We don't got to run far. I mean, a far run is going to be 20 miles.
Okay,
nice, dude.
So here's the problem, Daryl. Right? So we might as well schedule it end of July, so then you come straight over and do Wisconsin since you're halfway here.
Are you saying I should do like a world tour, like a rock star, dude? If so, I'm gonna go to an auction. I'm gonna buy myself an old school bus, dude, and that's what I'm gonna roll in. Like a rock star, bro. And I'm just gonna pick up hitchhikers on the way, just open the door. It'll be freaking great. Our team will be hitchhikers.
We should get Cyrus one so he can do the editing in the bus and his weightlifting and push-ups over there so I can get some damn sleep in the house.
So the camera kid, Cyrus Corbett, he's cool as can be, right? And Dennis Isbister, the other host, they're both workout fanatics, right? So every fish we caught, they would do 25 push-ups.
Yep.
Oh, my.
Me and Pat
we got videos of them on the boat. Oh, yeah. And me and Pat are sitting there, and I've got a half gallon of Fireball in my hand, and Pat's got a Busch Light, and they're on the ground doing push-ups, and Pat looks at me and goes, this is why they look like they do, and we look like we do. I'm like, you are 100% correct, Patty. You nailed it, little bear.
I would do 22 curls.
Yeah. I can throw a bucket of hay over a house or a bale of hay over a house, but
that ain't hard. How tall you are? It's just like
yeah.
So here's what. All right. So next year I'll put in vacation now. We'll figure it out where we have Devil's Lake, South Dakota to Hawaii. So we're gonna go walleyes with Hildebrand. Then we're gonna go and maglips. Then we're gonna go to Hawaii for salmon, and then over to Sheboygan for salmon.
I like
as long as it ain't the third weekend in July, we might be a little busy.
Yep, it's got to be after that.
Third week of July?
Third week of July is the South Dakota Governor's Cup. We're a little busy that weekend.
Gotcha.
All right, so I guess we do the Coho Derby, and then we go that way.
There you go.
I like it.
Well, you can,
and then I just fly home.
We can do it on the way home, yeah.
I'll ride out with you guys, and then I'll just fly home from North Dakota when we're done.
Yeah, I hope you fly home in a super tiny car like the one you picked me up in. That was such crap.
Oh, I remember that from the Glow Conference.
Yeah. Freaking comes to get me in a Prius. Is that thing a damn Prius, or what is that, Pat?
Ford Focus hatchback.
Oh, God, that's right. It's much more manly than the Prius.
And a moonroof.
Sure.
Yeah. That car had stretch marks when I got out of it.
It's not very often that I put a giraffe in the front seat, all right, pal?
Yeah, that car had stretch marks. Yeah, bro. I combed my hair all pretty, and then I had to eat the rain for 20 minutes. And it wasn't like normal rain. It was North Dakota rain coming in sideways.
First off, you've never been pretty a day in your life, so you can't say that.
That is wrong, dude. I'm a redneck with city boy haircut. I look good. Oh.
Yes, Jared's there.
Jared's there. Yeah, dude. He's awesome. That's another Jared from North Dakota. Yeah, he's great. He's a lot of fun. I fished with him one day.
We got Jared. He's helping us out. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, he's great. He's fun. And his name's Jared, so you know he's a straight up badass.
You're right, Kurt. You said we were going to laugh. That's good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, we've heard the stories. We've got a plan for next year. This is going to be a lot of fun, and we might have to do some Between Hooksets live from on the boat and see what we can pull off out there. And I'd love to see, like I said, I've salmon fishing twice in my life. I'd like to see this West Coast stuff come here because, like you said, these fish literally come from your hatcheries out there to here.
Yeah, literally the Lewis and Callis River Hatchery, which are just 50, 80 miles from my house. So,
honestly, Kurt, right now, all I have to do is go to my garage, grab the Magnum top shell from Lakewood, and roll, and we will catch the fish because Jared has the rods and the weights, and the spin fish, the cut bait, and the scents, right? So one thing that we didn't talk about, Jared, was the scents that we put on top of the tuna.
Oh,
yeah. Cover on that because I'm sure those guys aren't doing that out there.
Yeah, and so one of the things we use here, like my staple scents for stuffing these stuffer baits, right? Like this is what a spin fish looks like, right? Like right here, that's what it looks like. And you can see it breaks right apart in the middle, and so you can stuff it full of bait. And again, I stuffed this one just to show you what it looks like. Then it's got the scent poured on the front right here where the water goes in. And then on the back, it's got the little holes on both sides, right? And so that scent leaches out. And what we do up here is most of the time we use tuna and oil, right? And there's a bunch of different kinds. Chicken of the sea, tuna and oil is the most common. And then what I add to them is this stuff right here. Northwest Bait and Scent. It's a good friend of mine, Shane Magnuson. He has a scent company. And also Procure. Steve Lynch owns that, good friend of mine. They're two different companies. They kind of work together. So I use the Northwest Bait and Scent. The herring and the sardine formula out there in the Great Lakes mixed in with my tuna was awesome. So you just simply take the can of tuna and oil, open it up, dump it in a Tupperware container, put a couple, a couple tablespoons of the herring, a couple tablespoons of the sardine, mix it up, and that's what you stuff the baits with. And then the other one, the Procure products we were using the same thing, can of tuna, and then we were using the product they have called Bloody Tuna, and then the shrimp prawn oil. And that's what was our other scent base, right? And so we're using two different scents and seeing kind of, they would key in on ones at certain times, and we would, use that for a while or a day. And that was what really helped, because salmon, they smell their way home. Like, my salmon, they'll get, in a creek, and they'll go from a creek to a river. They'll go from that river to a bigger river out to the Columbia River, and they go out to the ocean. They swim up towards Alaska and through Canada and through the Straits and everywhere, right? And then they smell their way home to the same creek. And so, a salmon's most major thing is a scent, right? Because literally a salmon can, be missing an eye and have a hook go through an eye or have some issue, right? And they'll still be able to smell their food and smell their way home and smell that water and navigate, right? And so it's super important for them. And it's one of the things, like I wash my hands with lemon scent joy all the time. I washed every flasher every morning. We'd wash out the plugs every night when we were done, right? And clean them before we put away because they do smell in parts per billion. And there are things that they've done studies on, like Bob Toman did a video in Alaska. Bob Toman was a good friend of mine, lure designer, on scent products. And so they had this river in Alaska with migrating salmon going up, and they would put different scents in the waters at different times to get the reaction, like whether the salmon stalled or stopped or backed off or whatever from their migration. And what they found was, and it's really weird, it sounds crazy, but I've tested this theory thousands of times, and it is true, and I believe it, is we use lemon scent joy, the non-ultra, and that one works really good for scrubbing, cleaning your plugs, your flashers, and Crest Original toothpaste actually works really good. And so, by cleaning these things, if you think about it, there's been times out there, guys out there that have fished a spoon or a J plug or something, and you land a fish on it, right off the bat, bam, that's a hot plug, boom, you get another one, boom, and then it sits there for a half hour. Well, why? Right? Like, it runs good. It's in the right spot. It's at the same depth. It's in the water temp. Everything is there, right? Well, the only factor you have at that point is smell, right? That's the only factor you have left because it looks the same, it works the same, it's vibrating the same, all the other senses to the salmon are the same other than scent. So what does it hurt to take it out, clean it, and maybe add some fresh scent to it and put it back out, right? And so, I mean, I've tested this theory, like I said, 1,000 times, and a lot of people out there, oh, you're nuts. Well, I mean, this is what I do, and I'm not fishing for 5 fish a day, I'm fishing for 1, right? And it's that effective, and so those types of things.
Do you have a cat behind you?
That way.
Yeah, right.
Do I have a
He was
what?
trying to be the same height as you, Pat.
Do I have a cat? No, that's a
Get
refrigerator. That's a
up off the
refrigerator.
ground.
Oh, you saw Hunter.
Hunter,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was just trying to get the Pat level.
Yeah,
Stop,
he's a
drop, and
special. He's a
rolling.
Persian. He's a Persian permed cat. I got him off Amazon.
So, sorry, go ahead now with your set.
Yeah. But that, it's really is that important. I mean, if anybody wants to test it and try it and give it an edge, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. Well, one thing I found about adding scent to a presentation, like, just adding something, like a bloody tuna or a sand shrimp or a shrimp or whatever, it doesn't hurt, right? Like, it does not hurt. So the cleaning your plugs and cleaning your flashers thing is super effective. If you think about it, that plug gets blood, gets all this other stuff, salt or water or dirty water on it. And you come in, and the idea behind most of those plugs is they're flashy. The idea behind a flasher is that it's flashy, right? And so when you clean it, you get all the muck and mud, just like cleaning your windshield, right? It becomes clear. And so all those reflective points are better than they were before. And so, and even things like I was explaining this to Pat, and it went off in his head. When we were running those flashers, we would never troll just north and south or just east and west, right? I would position the boat to where the flashers were angled at the sun. Yeah, because they're flashers. They're reflecting sunlight. And I've tested this in the ocean, I don't know how many times, but in the ocean, I'm running a 12 ounce or 16 ounces of lead, and I run them in different sections of the boat. I'll run 16s, but I'll run them like 12 feet, 15 feet, and 18 feet back. I can see the flashers. And then we murder them. We'll catch 50, 60, 70 a day. It's insane, right? And they'll bite it right on the surface. And so, but I've noticed, that as I turn my boat, and if I get the maximum flash, like when I turn my boat, one side of the flasher will get bit, and the other side won't, because it's in the shade, because they're so close to my boat, because my boat's 30 feet long. So the bow rod that's at 12 feet in the middle of the boat, the back rod's at the 15 feet, barely at the back of the boat, but the very back rod will get bit because it's past the motors and it's in the sunlight.
Yeah, I am so glad you said that, because I have told that to people and they think I'm batshit crazy.
No,
so
dude.
You're pulling a crank, right? And this is the sunny side. And I don't care what color it is. It can be whatever. But this side of it is a silhouette. It's black. Yeah. It's shaded. So you 100%. Have color here, and you have, thank you. Thank 100%. you.
And, and sometimes you can't, you sometimes due to current or something like that, you can't go sideways, right? Especially like our presentation when I'm fishing those heavy lead balls, right? They're hanging down and I'm trolling along and those flashers are thumping, boom, boom, because that's what I want them to do. Well, if I've got a cross current or incoming tide or outgoing tide where I'm at, then a lot of times I'll be crabbing. And so one set of those lead balls will be kind of under my boat and I'll really only be fishing on one side, right? And so sometimes, that helps the flash part too, but sometimes just being in the current where the flashers actually work, because you'll notice if you're trolling with like my style, it's direct connect to the rod. So I can see the flashers doing what they're supposed to. And all of a sudden I'll be in the same water and they won't be moving right. And I'll slide 50 feet to the left or right. And that current changes, right? And that's where the fish are. You know what I mean? They're in that current change because that dead water, that's not where they're at. Your gear's not working right. And so I'll move just a little bit and boom, my flashers start working again. And I start getting bit again because those fish follow those currents and those seams and those eddies and those foam lines, right? And so if you can maximize that flash along with current in those situations, dude, I'm telling you, it'll increase your catch ratio 10 to 1. And one thing we found when we were out there as well with that same thing, once we figured out like the angle of the sun and we were talking about that flash, I started figuring out that, we'd be going 2.2 miles per hour and I would go all the way up to 2.8 and then I would drop it to nothing. And I would watch those because we were fishing lead balls on boards. I'd watch those 12 and 20 ounce lead balls fall. And I mean fall like from 40 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet, 65 feet. And I would pick the motor back up and they would just smoke it. But I'm covering so much of the water column that way, right? With those lead balls versus like with a lead core line or something, you can't do that same thing as fast, right? And you don't want to because you got so much line out to where I could do that. Because we're literally putting out a 12 ounce lead, dropping it 50 feet on a line counter, clipping it into a board and sending it to 100 feet out. And the very next one in line, our middle board, we were 75 feet, clipping it and putting it out, right? And so if I'm doing 2.8 miles an hour, that 12-ounce lead, I'm fishing about 25 feet deep, maybe, because it's such a line angle. And then when I slow it down to nothing, they would drop clear down to that 50 to 75 foot mark. Those offshore boards are key, man. I've never seen a board. We had 20-ounce leads on one of those boards, and it rocked it.
Really?
Yeah, no problems at all. 20-ounce lead ball.
So, Kalmerton. Nope. So was that like a 20-inch board? Is that the extra large?
I think
really
they're 20-inch mag boards. Yeah, they're a 16 or a 20. I'm not real familiar, but I think they're a 16-inch board. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Baby Jesus is back.
That's a 16-inch board, right, Pat?
That's a 16.
Here's the other key component to that.
The plunger.
Is the front clip, right? So the front clip. When we started, what we were doing is we were using the clip style and having this plunger that opens up. That way we could pop it off and bring it through. So when you're running 3 boards to a side, right? Like we can run 3-4 boards to a side or whatnot. And the top one was 12 ounces at 50 feet. The middle one was 12 ounces at 75 feet. And the inside was 75 feet with a 20 ounce. And we were running this exact same board on all of them. Obviously, the heaviest one was on the inside, so it was the deepest, right? So on the outside one, when the fish hit it, we could pop that off, let it fade back, bring it all in. Right?
Wow.
So these things were key to our success out there, number one. And number two, where was I going with this? Oh, when we were trolling for a while, like Jarod was saying about cleaning off your things and all that, if we would go 20 minutes without a bite, I would purposely pop that middle board, let it fade back, and bring it up in everything. That way you have a flash coming all the way down through the entire system instead of just those bait fish, because now that school of fish faded back is coming back up, and I think that helped a couple of times where
100%.
nothing was happening. But when you're the busiest, right, when you're fighting fish, when you're putting something out, most of the time that's when another fish hits. It's never when it's all in a, so we're constantly switching things. We're constantly moving things.
Yeah, and that, when Pat started doing that, gave us opportunities to rebait, right? And so we would pull them in, we would take them, we would hose them out, you know what I mean? And like the first time we rebait them, we just repack them with tuna, put them back in there, or we just squirt some fresh scent in them and put it back out, right? So we always had fresh product out there, just boom, boom, boom. And we were rotating that all day long. And on the bow rods, the very front 2 rods, we just had lead balls with long leaders. And those got quite a few snaps too. So we didn't have planer boards on those. And so we had a really good spread. I mean, we had, for only able to fish 9 rods for the tournament, we were able to spread them out probably 200 feet, on either side of the boat, and spread them out in the water column, from 100 feet down all the way up to 25 feet up. And so we were really able to dial in our program. And so when we see a fish, like I said, trust your electronics, in that 50 to 60 foot depth, and we didn't have a rod running there, I would just slow down until one was running there and then speed back up and let it run right there at that speed. Yeah, that thing was fire. What was that thing called? That was called.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that thing was fire. Because we had a double trouble. This color right here is what we paired up with it, right? Match the hatch.
Sure.
Yeah, this is how I knew Pat wasn't colorblind, because he's like, hey, buddy, this one here matches this one. Let's put this out.
So, Pat, flip that over. It's just white on the back side, right?
No, it's a UV. Same thing.
Is it UV? Okay, both sides. UV.
So
both
you got
sides.
UV with the yellow slash. I call it the yellow mamba. The black mamba. That was a really good one. Here, actually. This thing weighs a ton. So, that one there was really good.
That one was good.
I've got that one.
Yeah.
This one here, the Lucky
I've got
Charms.
that one. What, did you go fishing, or did you buy it at Algoma from Kathy at the Algoma hardware store? Because she gave me, I said, here's what I've got that one fire. Too.
Yeah, that one was good with this. This one we call corn chowder. Yeah, it fired real good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll tell you what, that hardware store in Algoma is amazing. It's Kathy is unbelievable. She sent me home with a whole bunch of stuff to use on a wahi. So I've never done it. I've never salmon fished, but I got everything I need to do it.
It could be your flip-flops, Pat. Your flip-flops, we had to wash them that one day because I literally almost had somebody take me to the hospital because I thought that I'd been roofied when I walked down the stairs. I thought I'd been roofied. Hi, buddy. Hi,
All right,
buddy.
Kurt, welcome back. Oh my, I see it's 10 after already. We've been an hour and 10 minutes, I suppose. Is it wrapper-upper time, or are we still telling people how to fish? Because I'm all ears.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, Pat,
now
I
we
can
can't
talk
hear
forever.
Kurt.
I'll talk. How come you guys are so quiet?
I know. I feel
Who's
like
quiet? Am I quiet?
no. Kurt's quiet because he's off
Oh,
air.
Kurt's quiet because there's nothing there. You know,
Oh,
I
there you
don't
are.
know if. Do you think I need to be louder? Because at this point,
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
no kidding. Is that better?
A little bit.
I turned it all the way up to 200.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah, there we
A
go.
little bit.
Sorry.
We got you.
So, I mean, I think the data we've learned, I mean, just the stuff we've learned tonight for anybody even in South Dakota that wants to come to Lake Oahe and salmon fish, you know, like you said, you guys went to Sheboygan, took a West Coast style, but just like I said, I've done it twice, again, said several times. The amount of stuff I've learned tonight, like when somebody starts talking to me, I can say, well, go watch this episode and look what you can learn, and the sense and the different leaders. I know none of this. I've been on a boat. They put them out. I sit there and I've caught, a shaker.
Yeah.
They call a shaker, and I caught, one like, a 10, 12 pounder,
If you don't want to go to Yakima, I mean, Yakima will have them all, segmented out, but we did that one in October, rolling dirty in the Sheboygan River with Yakima bait. That's what it's called. It's on my YouTube channel. Rolling dirty in the Sheboygan River. But he goes through all the components. He goes through the speed. He goes through what you're looking for, the thumping, all that stuff.
Yeah. And that's all on the Yakima Bait YouTube channel as well. And my friends, they do a YouTube channel called Addicted Fishing. And, man, they have a pile of stuff on there, really good how-tos and where we do stuff and how we do it. And like I said, it's not the end-all, end-all, but there are days, I guarantee you, if we fished a Oahe, and I fished my way and you fished your way in a boat, every day, there's days I would outfish you, there's days you would outfish me. And so learning when those days are and having the opportunity just to change up your spread, just like decoys, right? All you're really doing is getting out and moving your decoys around a little bit because they didn't like them right that way.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to get them to finish, same as you would a bird, so it's no different, right? And it's just good to have that knowledge, you know what I mean, and understand it. And that's why I went out there, man. That was fun. And Pat and I both learned an absolute ton.
Well, what really gets me intrigued is the guys that salmon fish are downriggers, right? They're all, I mean, you have downriggers on your boat.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what you do. That's the style in South Dakota, is a downrigger on your boat. And to hear that you're not even running downriggers and doing this, it's just incredible to me.
Yeah, I've got 4 electric downriggers. I've had my big sled now for 5 years, and I've never put them on it. Never once.
Yeah, these guys run downriggers with stacker clips and all this other stuff, and you're not even.
Yeah, no, it's just so effective. I mean, like here though, like in the lower end of the Columbia River, there's a buoy 10 fishery is like 40 square miles, right? It's about 10 miles long, 12 miles long as far as the water goes, but it's just wide. And there'll be times, man, where I'll be trolling along and like, on an outgoing tide or incoming tide, whatever it may be, the way the water's flowing, because I always go the way the water's flowing because the salmon, they face into the current, right? And so if you're going with the water flow, you're coming in contact with a lot more fish. You know what I mean? Just like going the wrong way down the freeway, you're going to come in contact with more fish. And so when I'm doing that, I if I get, boom, I get a bite, boom, I get a bite, boom, I get a bite. I won't keep freaking trolling, right, out in the abyss. I'll pull them all up like right now, like reel them up. We reel them up, and I have them reel them to 8 feet because at 8 feet that lead ball is at your waist, not at your eye. You reel 8 feet, pick the rod up, lead ball comes in the hand. Everybody sits down. I flip around, I hammer it. We motor back a mile, get right on top of those fish again, drop them back down, boom, 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 pick up a couple more, and that's how we do it, right? And so that's one reason that we fish the lead balls and not the riggers and the planer boards and stuff, because it's so much more effective for me to be mobile. And where I fish, like I said, a lot of it's rod tip to rod tip. You pull out a planer board and someone is not going to be on your Facebook friends list when you get home.
Yeah. And I mean, just that for like people watching in South Dakota that want to salmon fish and not downrig, get on the Yakima Bait YouTube channel, and you're going to see how to put these ball weights on and what you're doing, and, and learn these presentations so you don't have to go spend money on downriggers.
Yeah, and I'm on social media too. Like I'm on Facebook, Jarod Higginbotham, Jarod Higginbotham, and I'm on.
Is that every letter in the alphabet?
It is, except for Z. Except for Z. Yeah.
One of my good buddies, his name is Kenny Von Bolagoyen.
Whoa, bro, that's a good one there, man.
He knew the alphabet before he hit kindergarten,
bro.
Every one of them is in his name.
I bet, dude. I bet he won every spelling bee from there through 6th grade, bro. He lit that up. Yeah. So, but yeah, you can follow me on Instagram too, and so message me. I get hundreds of messages a week. So if you're not sure and you really want to know and you can't find what you need, just message me on social media. I'm happy to help you out. Right? I guess that's my job. I love teaching people to do what I do. That's one of the main reasons I do what I do, is because I love the education and teaching people how to do it. Because fishing for me has been a family thing since I was born, and it has bonded and made so many of my family members so much more special and friends. You know, like Pat and I would have never been friends if it wasn't for fishing, right? Like I would never be sitting here talking to you guys if it wasn't for fishing. And so that's why I want so many people out to get into it and do it because and teach them and educate them, because it brings out this part of life that I think so many people never get to see, because that camaraderie and that bonding, that learning and that getting food and bringing to the table thing is something that a lot of people never get to experience, man. And it's just a piece of life that I think everyone should get. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I thought you did it because you wanted to hang out with me.
I do, Little Bear, but I have to say the other stuff for the other people, you know.
All right, fine. Fair enough.
Yeah, you better plug your people quick.
If you were here, I would make you take a shot of Fireball with me, and we would do some dancing.
We'll do it now.
Yeah, Pat is an animal.
I'm fireballed out.
Pat is an animal, though. You talk about a water buffalo that can move like a gazelle. That guy was doing so many 90s dances out there, and he's way more limber than I am. If I did any of that, the whole boat would have probably sank. And so, Pat, you're in way better shape than I am, buddy. I can tell you that.
I'm like a spider monkey, baby.
You are like a spider monkey. Feed him some Fireball. Look at him. Happy little bear. Look at happy
the amount of info tonight, guys, was awesome. I mean, it's never a shortage of fun when Pat's on with us or being around Pat. And Jarod, you are just like him. It's been a joy to have you guys on.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I can't wait till you guys come to Hawaii and hop on a boat and,
it's happening.
Oh, I'm bringing my boat, bro.
It's happening either in July or second week of August.
I mean, we're going to be the second goofiest salmon boat out there, the 30-foot sled.
Yeah,
I have a guy down here that has a houseboat with downriggers off the back. He has security cameras pointed on the downriggers, and you watch him on TVs inside the houseboat.
I love it, dude. Well, I hope you like 90s rap.
You must not catch him very often because you can't get to the rod that quick.
No.
What's that?
You got to get to that rod a lot faster. If you're sitting around watching the rod, I don't want to fish with him, because if the fish takes off, get out of my way, man. I'm coming.
Like I say, if you hear there he goes, all you got to do is just make sure nothing's taking your knees out. It's Pat. He's coming through, and he's coming in hot.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. Cannot wait to get you guys back on. And you might see me in the Columbia River someday, Jarod, looking you up. And
hit me up, bro. I live 50 miles from where the state record walleye was caught, 21 pounds, 10 ounces. I can hook you up. They catch 18 pounders every year, 20 pound, bro, monster walleyes in that lower Columbia right down here by my house. So
fabulous.
So come on down. Pat, I had a blast with you last week. I love you, buddy. That was so fun. Thank you.
Love you, man.
Until next year, man. So, boys,
Jarod, Pat, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you much. All right, Kurt, see you later.